The case against the alleged killer, Ngcebo Thusi, has now been postponed to the 13th of February for confirmation of his address and criminal profile. Thusi is accused of killing the TUT student, Ntokozo Xaba, at her student's residence in Tshwane. The attack comes as government and civil society are running awareness campaigns to combat gender-based violence at institutions of higher education. Well, let's speak now to the Deputy President of the South African Union of Students, Siyathaba Nkonyane. Siyathaba, good afternoon to you. This has been a terrible murder, a terrible case. Her family will be in mourning. What more can government and campuses do to keep young women safe?
Greetings to you guys in studio, as well as greetings to everyone at home that is viewing. As the South African Union of Students, we are so disheartened about the recent event that took place at TUT. Especially because we had actually been rolling out our national campaign where we were raising awareness for gender-based violence across all institutions of higher learning in the country. In our view, we think that what needs to happen right now is that we need to offer as much support as we can to all the people that are affected by the situation. But further to that, in more than just offering support, we need to make sure that cases like this don't take place again. We've gotten reports that there is somewhat a lack of evidence because even the cameras at the residence are not actually showing the alleged perpetrator on the corridors or the alleged perpetrator coming into the victim's room or anything like that. So we strongly again have to urge that the safety of students in their residences or any institution that is run by the university, that includes residences, that includes cafeterias, that includes anywhere where a student that is registered by a particular institution needs to be monitored. So the safety, it questions the level of safety in our residences as well, and we were able to speak about it even last week when we had our interview. So we really need to do something better, more than just the awareness campaign that we've been running, but we actually need to really pull up our socks when it comes to the safety of students in campuses.
It's all, in a way, about men and what's going on in their heads. I mean, we've had so many campaigns around this. We don't see any change in the behavior of men.
It's so disheartening because, Stephen, even last week when we spoke, we did say that the reflection of the gender-based violence cases that are taking place in institutions of higher learning are a direct reflection of what is actually taking place in society. So it's not an issue that begins when a student is registered in a university or in an institution of higher learning, but it is an ongoing issue. So when we say we're fighting gender-based violence, it does not start when a person becomes a perpetrator, but it starts with the mindset that we're raising our children. It starts with the mindset that men have in their minds. So we need to do away with the patriarchy. We need to do away with the misogyny that is embedded in the men that we are raising today. The Minister of Higher Education and Training did mention something about a campaign that is solely aimed at educating the men only, because it seems that we need to focus also on the perpetrators themselves. So outside just making sure that victims or survivors know what to do if they find themselves in that situation, we also need to go back and change the entire mindset of the men that we are raising or the men that are in institutions of high learning.
The only other way, I suppose, and I mean, it really shouldn't be on young women to be, prepared. They shouldn't have to do the work, but what may help is just warning signs of a controlling person, warning signs that someone could turn violent, that there could be education about that, I mean.
It's so disheartening for me to hear that the situation that just happened at last week was not the first of its kind. So the victim was not in the first time a situation with the alleged perpetrator. So there had been instances of violence between the two of them. Unfortunately, they were not reported. It could be an issue of the confidence that students have in institutions of higher learning on their own. So it's an issue of, I don't want to be re-victimized once I lay a case or I report something against a person, because institutions themselves are not doing enough in relations to addressing these issues. But also one thing we know for sure and has been scientifically proven is that if a female has once in their lives gone through a situation where they became either a survivor of GBV or a witness of GBV, most likely they will experience it again in their lifetime. So what we do for those women is that we need to empower them and make sure that they know what the right procedures they must follow if something like that happens again. But over and above that, perpetrators that are men are most in instances people that have experienced gender-based violence themselves. So they've seen it happen at home, or they've seen their sister, or it's something that they've experienced before. So our duty is to also make sure that in our protecting the females or the women that we protect as they grow up, we must also do the same for young men as well, because they have the higher probability of becoming perpetrators themselves.
Siyathaba and Nkonyane, thank you, Deputy President of the South African Union of Students.